Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Are we at a bar show or a funeral? Good afternoon. Come on, a little energy here. We want to learn something. I hate funerals. I love bars. My name's John McDonnell. I just celebrated my 35th anniversary in the liquor business. No greater industry on earth. I wasn't smart enough to go to law school or be a doctor. This was the next best thing, being Irish and Catholic. So I started my career in market research at a company called Joseph E. Seagram & Sons, which unfortunately fell to the stupid grandson theory. The grandfather starts the company, the father explodes it, and the grandson buries it. Unfortunately, when he buried it, he sold half of it to Diageo and the other half to Pernod Ricard. So after that experience, I became a sales and marketing consultant. My first client was Patron. My second was Tito's Handmade Vodka. I was fortunate to be successful and joined Patron Tequila Company, where our team exploded the ultra-premium tequila category. Nobody paid attention to that category in duty-free. Everybody was so focused on scotch and gin and high-priced whiskeys, and then they would sell $8 standard tequilas. So we introduced the concept of, hey, why don't you give $40 and $50 tequilas a shot in this channel? After that experience, I moved over to Tito's Handmade Vodka. Those of you that are familiar with Tito's, he's the #1 craft distiller in America. He started in 1997, and today, 21 years later, there are over 1,800 craft distillers in America. So he's really the pioneer. They asked me to tell you about what I like to do. I like to invest in startup brands. I like to give advice to entrepreneurs. Most importantly, I like to share the mistakes I've made, because God knows I've made every mistake possible. And when I forget that, my wife reminds me daily. And on the side, I like to write articles for Forbes, LinkedIn, and I've co-authored a book, Self-Empowerment Series. Attraction of duty-free. Here's the headline. Unless you have a boatload of money, don't do it. That's the takeaway today. Duty-free used to be the place that you ran into and bought a gift for your wife or your kids on the way home from a business trip because you forgot to do that during the business week. Now this channel has evolved, and it's all about creating experiences. And the experience I want to talk about, I'll use my hometown of Boston. In Boston now, the duty-free operators have carved out shelves dedicated to brands that you can only find in Boston. And next year, they're building restaurants that are only Boston-centric. And I don't mean fine dining. It can be casual dining, even sticky floor joints. Simon talked about the polarization of duty-free. He said it's a $70 billion retail sales industry. Duty-free is the #1 player, and they're about $7 billion of that pie. And the biggest player in the liquor category is Diageo, a.k.a. Johnny Walker Black, Smirnoff, so on and so forth. So how does a little guy compete against these mammoth people? Pretty much you don't. But the one way you can, you have to outthink them, outsmart them, outflank them. And one of the ways you can do this is to partner with other brands. So get a bunch of brands together, create a company, and then attack them. So what are the challenges? Again, I apologize for repeating some of what Simon said, but the large suppliers, i.e. Diageo, Pernod, Beam, Suntory, etc., they have the deep pockets to buy up the end caps, the light boxes. So what do you do to combat that? Again, partner. Simon touched upon this. The airport authorities are the owners of the real estate where the duty-free operators rent from. So they bid for that space in the airport. And the airport authority, the owner, wants minimum annual guarantees from that retailer. So if they don't meet the minimum annual guarantee, thank God I wasn't drinking when I said that, they wouldn't be able to afford to go in there. And if you miss that threshold, you have to write them a check. And retailers don't like writing checks to the airport authority. So when they have to write a check, who do they look to? The brands. So on top of everything else, when you sell to a duty-free operator, they want to make about 70% profit margin. Think about that. If Tito's is $30 in Dubai duty-free, that retailer wants to pay $9. They make $21 a bottle. Think about that. What other industry, if you're a mixologist, bar owner, store owner, those are huge margins. And out of those margins, that retailer has to give sometimes 40 to 50% of that margin to the airport authority. So they're only left with 20 to 25%. But the big question is, when I talk about combating the big boys, is have you ever thought about how does a brand that's made in Berlin, a micro distillery, end up on the shelf in JFK Airport in New York City? Think about that. One brand, how's he get it to the shelf in JFK? First of all, part of the challenges are the retailer is not going to come to Berlin, Germany to pick up a layer of XYZ whiskey. So what you have to do is figure out a place to store your goods in America. So the best piece of advice I can give you is store your merchandise closest to the customers. So for example, at Tito's, we have a warehouse in Belgium, we have a warehouse in Singapore, and we have a warehouse in Miami that services the Americas. But do you think a retailer wants to open an account just for Tito's Handmade Vodka or Halewood Gin? Absolutely not. They want to deal with other brands. So how do I deal with this? I partner with Edrington, which is the owner of Macallan, Sazerac, and Di Serono. So all our companies do business together in the Americas. So now Dufree, when they want to order Macallan, Tito's, Buffalo Trace, and Amaretto Di Serono, they call one place, they get one bill, they send one check. The key point is we make it as easy for the customer as humanly possible. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in hundreds of airports around the globe. The opportunities in this channel are, as Simon said, it's a marketing channel. You're not going to make any money, maybe a little bit, probably not. You have to look at it as a showcase to the world. If you're in duty-free, you're becoming a global brand. And you also have to have special packs to attract customers, because not only do they want a better price than the domestic, they want something they can't get in a downtown retail shop. So I talked about we have to improve the retail consumer experience. So we have to think different, better, and special than the big boys. And how do we do this? The baby boomers and the Generation Xers, they know the duty-free channel. The millennials, the research we've done is they do not shop in duty-free. So the challenge is, as an independent brand, what can I do to get them to enter that shop? Think about your phone. How often, and I appreciate it, I haven't seen virtually anybody look into their phone during this session. But all day long, no matter where I go, people have their phone in their face. This morning I went jogging. The whole way down the sidewalk, I'm zigzagging in and out because everybody is staring into their phone. I get on the elevator at the 9th floor this morning. I said good morning to the gentleman that got on with me. He didn't even acknowledge my existence. He didn't even look up until he saw me get out of the elevator. Everybody has their phone in their face at all times. And millennials get to the airport and they sit outside the shop with their face in the phone. Do you know there's only 4 times that a millennial looks up from their phone from the time they get to the airport? 1, to check in. 2, to go through security because they take the phone away. 3, to use the toilet. And 4, to board the plane. The rest of the time, sitting in the chair, the store's right there. There's no call to action to get them to get into that store. So as an industry, we need to develop an app. What's the first thing I did when I landed in Berlin Airport? Oh God, I hope they have Uber. So click, they have Uber taxi. Boom, I clicked the Uber taxi. Within 2 minutes, the guy was at door number 12. I jumped in, he dropped me off. I didn't have to reach in my pocket, didn't worry about euros versus USD. Simple. And that's what we're failing to do in Duty Free Channel. We haven't created an app that makes it simple for the millennial to do what he likes to do, convenience. So what do we do as a company to combat that? We create retail theater. We want to create an experience that calls that millennial into the shop, something cool, fun. So here's a picture of Tito's activation in São Paulo. We have a young lady behind the counter that's a Tito's tasting unit. She has a cowboy hat on. Why? Because we're made in Austin, Texas. We give away a package. Sorry, we sell a package. We don't give away anything. Faux pas. We sell Tito's in a special package, which is a red, white, and blue bag, America's colors, that they can't get in the downtown shop. So we're checking all the boxes. And oh, by the way, we've added one other element. You can take a selfie with the lady and then share that across social media, because that's what millennials like to do. So I hope that I've given you some example of how to activate in duty free.